Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always, before the video starts, I want to express my eternal gratitude towards those who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal, or Super Thanks. Words cannot describe how much I appreciate your help, so thank you friends and have a blessed day. Now, today's video I will start with the Avdiivka direction and first discuss the southern flank of it, where Russians were able to advance within the village of Vodyane. In the last few days, they were constantly counterattacking along the entire length of this village, and as a result of those successful actions, were able to advance in this sector along the street of Gagarina. And this is exactly how much territories Russians were able to acquire in that attack. As you can see, Russians are trying to reach this vital intersection, which will then allow them to attack in the direction of Pervomaisky, to the very flank and rear of the Ukrainian forces fighting in this sector. As you can see, this recent territorial development may allow Russians to attack here and threatened the encirclement and destruction of the entire Ukrainian grouping located in this particular sector. If Russian territorial gains are to continue in this area, and Russians are to reach this bottleneck, Ukrainians will be left with two options: counterattack in attempt to prevent Russian further advances and to force Russians to retreat, not only from this sector but also all across this portion of the front, as the loss of the better half of Pervomaisky would be a fatal blow to Ukrainian morale in this area. As I speak, fighting here continues. Then let's generally discuss the situation on the southern flank of Avdiivka. The Russian forces were reported attacking in the general direction of Nevelsky, as well as across the open fields in the direction of Pervomaisky, attacked from Vodyane in the directions of Ukrainian-controlled settlements of Severne and Tonenke, from Apitne in the direction of Avdiivka, from Spartak in the direction of Avdiivka also, continued fighting within the industrial zone, attacked from settlements of Kamyanka and Vesely. On the interesting note, pro-Ukrainian sources also covered some of the territorial changes that I've just talked. For example, here is the situation of yesterday and here is the situation of today. As you can see, this territorial change is acknowledged by the Ukrainians. They also acknowledged Russian movements in the direction of Pervomaisky here, some territorial changes in the direction of Tonenke, as well as Severne and Avdiivka itself. Here, let me show you that again. When talking about weather, the best way I can show what's happening there is to show you this video, and I think it speaks for itself. In this kind of mud, I'm sure even a tracked vehicle would get stuck immediately. Now, from the southern flank, let's quickly discuss the situation on the northern one. There are no territorial changes, but the hard fighting continues within Stepova and to both flank of it. Ukrainians are constantly counterattacking Russians all across this portion of the front in attempt to recapture recently lost positions. However, it seems that Russians were able to significantly entrench themselves within newly acquired territories, and Ukrainians are unable to achieve anything. There were some geolocated photos and videos of Russian armored infantry fighting vehicles advancing to the both sides of the village and to the very outskirts of it. This could identify that Russians are nearly done with the village of Stepova and are currently attacking in the direction of Ukrainian-controlled village of Berdychi. Now, before we move on to the other portions of the front, I would like to kindly ask you to consider supporting this video with a like, comment, and of course a subscription. Words cannot describe how important those actions are, not only for the growth of this channel, but also for me. So I would be extremely thankful if you can do that for me. Thank you, and let's move on. From Avdiivka, let's move to the city of Bahmut and first discuss the situation on its northern flank, where Russian forces continued their offensive operations within the settlement of Bogdanivka along the rail line in attempt to outflank Ukrainian forces located within the settlement itself and along this road, as well as in the direction of Grigorivka and from the village of Kromove. Currently, Russian attacks in the direction of Grigorivka, Bogdanivka, and along the rail line are repelled. However, situation is different when it comes to the village of Kromove, as in the last 24 hours, Russians were able to advance, fully capture the car racing track, thus advancing towards a significantly fortified and currently Ukrainian-controlled area located on those tactical heights. Here on this picture, you can see exactly how much territories Russians were able to acquire in the last 24 hours. Again, this recent territorial change will not only allow Russians to increase their control over the 00506 road, but also advance across the open fields in support of Russian assaults in the general direction of currently Ukrainian-controlled village of Ivanivsky. It is towards that village Russians are also currently attacking from the settlement of Bahmut, but at this point in time are unable to advance. From here, let's go to the southern flank of Bahmut and discuss the situation around Klishchiivka. The town was a target of constant Russian attacks all throughout last week, as Russians continued to entrench themselves in this area, which is located on a very important tactical height that overlooks Klishchiivka and this entire valley. Russian forces were also recorded attacking across the rail line in the direction of the village itself, and it seems that the intensity of Russian attacks and the constant bombardment of the town and its surrounding areas forced Ukrainians to retreat from multiple defensive positions in this area. For example, you can see that about 30-40% of the village is currently in the gray zone, with Russian forces occasionally launching so-called raid parties into it in attempt to entrench and continue the full recapture of the village. Again, with the control over the tactical heights, those actions have a higher chance of success. Russian artillery here is never silenced, which greatly benefits Russian forces advancing on the ground. For example, here in this video, you can see the bombardment of Ukrainian positions by a Russian TOS flamethrower system. And as I speak, Russians continue to conduct offensive operations in this area. Now, from Bahmut, let's quickly move to the settlement of Kupiansk and discuss the situation here. Generally speaking, ever since Russians were able to achieve a significant breakthrough here, Ukrainians quickly and efficiently reinforced this front. Since then, the Russian advances here slowed to a crawl, but still happened regularly. For example, today, Russian forces were able to advance within this forest, in between Ukrainian-controlled village of Encirclement and Russian-controlled Liman Pershий, and as a result of that, were able to capture small portion of the Ukrainian-controlled territory. Here you can see that on the presented picture. This again puts Russian into a very close vicinity of the village. As you can see, they are now able to advance within the first houses of it, and this might be the initiation of the battle for this village. Then from here, let's move all the way to the Zaporozhian front line and quickly discuss the situation around village of Rabotina. Russian forces continue to conduct offensive operations here in this area, mostly attacking from the west, and it's hard to say whether Russians were successful at that or not. Some minor territorial change appear, but of course, due to the fact that Ukrainians are unwilling to give up and are constantly challenging Russians, territory here change hands often. Before we move to the other portion of the front, I quickly want to show you a video of a Ukrainian T-72 tank driving on the mine and with its ammo rack exploding. As you can see, usually when it happens, it is only the turret that is sent sky high, while the base of a tank is still and seemingly intact. However, here as you can see, it is not the case, as the tank was basically disintegrated within a fraction of a second. I also want to ask your opinion, what exactly caused this kind of violent explosion? Perhaps this tank was in the middle of delivering extra ammunition to the Ukrainian forces in this area, and it is that blew up so spectacularly. In any way, I'm waiting for your opinion in the comment section below. With this, I end today's video. Again, if you have something to add or disagree with me, please do so in the comment section below. If you like this video and you find it informative, please consider supporting it by any means you consider necessary. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.